Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 20th of September, 2016. This is episode 194. Good evening. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. Today is going to be probably super scattered and all over the place. I am sorry. I had every intention of recording while the kids were at school, and then I just had a really hectic morning. So now they are home, and I'm sure that they will not listen to the instructions, which are play quietly outside, obviously. But hopefully they won't be too noisy. I am probably not going to worry about editing out car sounds and children sounds, because then I will spend all night editing. So if you're wearing earbuds and you want to skip this one, I totally understand. I'm sorry about it. Next week I will hopefully record during the daytime while everybody's at school. So what are we doing? The Finish Your Frog Craft Along will start next month. It'll be for 2 months, and there's no threads yet to my knowledge about it. I will talk more to it next week, because that will be the week before it will start. But yeah, just a heads up that that's happening. And then I'll probably do ending and mending again in December, because I like that one too. So finished objects, I have 2. Well, I actually have 3, but one's an earbud cozy and I'm not quite sure where it is. So whatever. I finished the yoga socks that I was working on. So last week I was right here and I finished working up both of them. Put in the afterthought heel gusset area. I haven't woven in any ends, and they're not actually blocked yet. I just threw them on the blockers so you could see them. But they are finished, except for those last 2 things, which are going to take about 20 seconds per sock. Yeah, they turned out fine. This was leftover yarn that someone gave me at a ZK. I don't know which one. I can't give you any information. But I am enjoying making these yoga socks. And I'm probably going to cast on another pair this week. Likely. It's not for sure, but it's likely. I also finished the second pillow made out of the quilt. So here it is. It's got all of these patches, and then a big patch, and then get all of those patches, more bigger patches. So the blue pentagon, my nephew's favorite shape is a pentagon. Didn't know that. So the blue pentagon and the blue heart are actually appliques that I put on, put over some holes in the patches, because mostly these are not torn up. It was just very small sections that were a little torn up. So I appliqued those on over. This one is blanket stitched on, and this one is just kind of back stitched on, but I did it after. So it's finished, and I told you the last one was stuffed with the batting of a broken down comforter. This has a broken down comforter and an old blanket as the stuffing. My nephew likes heavier pillows, like feather pillows, and I wasn't gonna buy a feather pillow to put inside here, but we did have this other dog blanket that had holes in it and was looking pretty raggedy. So you know how I feel about throwing things away when they could be useful. I actually had put the blanket in the garbage bag, and then in the laundry garbage bag, so it was just in there with like lint and stuff. And then I came upstairs and I was working on the pillow, and I went back downstairs to do more laundry, and I pulled it out of the lint thing and threw it in the wash, and I was like, yeah, that's gonna be the stuffing. So it is what it is. The quilt blanket is finished, and let's move right on to works in progress, because the next thing is kind of related. So I finished that, and I started sewing up the dog bed, which is going to be from the quilt. Do you guys want to see how sad this quilt is? Okay, it's just going to be really fast. So look at all that. Look at all that from the dog. So I am sewing it into a dog bed with the backing the back fabric facing out, and I'm just blanket stitching around the edges. It's folded, so it's three layers of quilt thick, and he already lays on it because it's already his. It's like, yep, that's mine, so it smells like dog, which is super fun to work with. I like the dogs, love the dogs even, but I don't necessarily want dog smell up on me. So I feel like this work in progress is going to get washed a lot as I'm working on it. I also worked on the quilt, but again, it's not anything super cool to show. More progress on this hexagon. I can't remember exactly where it was last time I showed it to you, but I have been doing around a day. So it's 7 more than it was last week, and I didn't show you last week, so at least 14 more rounds than it was. And that's the next color. I'm getting really close to this ball being finished, so sometime this week I'll be adding in the third and final color that I have for this project, which is a brown. So maybe I'll show it next week, maybe not, who knows. I can't make any promises. I don't have the tag for this yarn right here, so I'm sorry. But it's going to be a hexa puff that is going to turn into a dragon, I think. I also worked on the cusp socks by Cookie A, and I am super pleased with the progress on these socks. So last week, they were to right there. I just had the top of the cuff finished. And now, look at all that work on the leg. This is a heavily patterned pattern, I don't know, sock, whatever. It has lace. Oh, wrong hand. Wrong side. There we go. So lace. And then it is twisted ribbing for the rest of the sock, but the lace goes on the bias. And it's not super difficult, but it's not completely intuitive. But look at how much I did. I did all of the setup lace charts, and now I'm in the part where it's like repeat until you get to this part. So I'm just doing repeats right now, which is nice. And it's so beautiful. I love the way this yarn is pooling. I think it's super cool. I don't think it detracts from the lace. I think the lace is bold enough. It's showing a lot higher contrast on the monitor than it is in person. But here is the yarn in the hand-wound ball. It is Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the Monsoon colorway. And this yarn is so pleasing to work with. It's very, very soft, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I should be to the heels next week. I don't know about through the heels, let's not get crazy, but to the heels, probably. So you guys want to know something exciting that has nothing to do with anything that I'm talking about right now? Mara has her first loose tooth. She's so big, and no, I didn't paint my nails because that would be ridiculous. It's still the same nail polish as last week. Who has time to go find nail polish remover? But anyway, she's about to lose her first tooth. Oh my gosh, when did she get so big? I'm not even ready for it. She just needs to stop. Ridiculous, I tell you. Anyway, next work in progress is the Kick in the Pants socks, which I am knitting using 716 knit 716 sock in the Heather's Special Hamsters colorway, Hardcore Hamsters. I am pretty sure that I have 4 black stripes left in this ball, so 2 per sock. And then I will have to change over to solid black. I'm about 2/3 of the way up my leg, or will be when I finish using this. And then I have to decide if I want over the knee socks or just to the knee socks, and I'll be using solid black for that. But anyway, here are the socks, and that is how much I did. These are really good car line knitting in the morning when I'm not sitting in the car for a really long time. So I only really do pickups on Tuesdays which means I don't have to be in the car pickup line very long. And today I totally took a nap in the car pickup line. I know, right? But they do announcements right before the end of school, and the announcements play in the parking lot, so I knew I would wake up to that, and it was probably only a 20-minute nap, but I needed it. After how hectic the morning was, I was reading in the middle seat of my SUV, because I don't sit in the front because the sun shines on the front seat, so it was too hot. So I was reading and knitting, and then I was just like, maybe just a 20-minute nap. So anyway, these are good for in the morning when it's a really, really short wait. But yeah, these socks are so close. And if I should be finished, judging by how many rounds I got done on it this time, I should be finished with this yarn and be working with the black yarn next week, or maybe be finished. Who knows? I can't make any promises though, because I cast on a new project. This is my niece, and she would like to say hello.
Hi.
Do you like knitting?
Yes.
Do you like crocheting?
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, as you were. So I cast on a new project. Remember that yarn that my dad gave me? I needed it to be a thing. I specifically needed the gray and the blue to be a thing together. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I don't really need a cowl, and plus it's alpaca, so it's a slight bit itchy, but not terrible. And I don't really wear shawls. I don't. I like them theoretically, but I would rather have a cowl because then I don't have to mess with it. But I didn't want a cowl out of this. So you remember how last year I made the Norwegian Totoro mitts by Brella? Well, I only got to wear them once. It was on Halloween, and took the kids trick-or-treating, and then I took off the mittens while we were trick-or-treating, and I put them in one of the kids' bags. And then we went back around the streets, campfire thing, bonfire, yes. Hey, bunny. And I guess the kids were in their candy, and somewhere along that night, one of my mittens got lost. I don't know where in that story I stopped talking because children got ridiculous. But the thing is, I only got to wear the mittens once. I only have one mitten. So I started a pair of Totoro mittens so that I could have a pair for reals, so that I can drive without my fingers freezing, because I like my fingerless mitts, but this part of my hand gets really cold on my steering wheel. And also, working at the dog daycare, I don't know what their policy is for cold weather, but I imagine that dogs still go outside in cold weather, even if it's for a short period of time. So I'm going to want those mittens. And this time, I'm going to put a cord on them. Oh yeah, I'm taking it totally like I'm an elementary school student, because I already lost a mitten. Clearly, I can't be trusted to not have them on a string. So my mittens are going on a string, and I will string them through whatever sweatshirt or jacket or whatever it is that I'm wearing, so that I can keep the mittens, especially because it's not that the yarn wasn't fancy. It's not that the yarn wasn't nice for the first pair that I knit myself, but it was Knit Pick Stroll, which is nice. It's fine yarn. Stroll Sport. But this is the alpaca yarn that my dad got me last week. So it's from Dreamcatcher Alpaca, and it's 100% alpaca. It's hand dyed. So they're fancy mittens. I probably shouldn't wear them to work, but I'm going to. But they'll be really warm because they're alpaca. So yeah, that's my plan. We'll see how that works out. But I've already cast them on because I really wanted to cast a new project on. I actually kind of have some cast-on-itis right now, which I'm not giving into, but I really want to. So in the next week, it's possible that I might cast on another pair of socks, a shawl, a baby blanket, and a cowl, and or a cowl. Any or all of those things. I don't know. I really want to be good and not cast on new things, but I've been finishing up a lot of stuff, right? And I haven't really started that many projects in the past 2 months relative to how many I've finished, right? So even though I already have a bin of works in progress that I could be pulling from, I think I'm going to start some new things. I feel like it's time to start some new things. You want to see new fancy things, right? I mean, even though the socks that I'm working on are beautiful, and those are really the only things that I'm working on right now, even though they're beautiful, it would be nice to have some new projects going on. So that's probably going to happen. I did do modular knitting. I did square number 55 on the mitered square blanket. So that's this one right here. It is this lovely blue solid yarn that Christina sent me. I also made 5 hex puffs. So this is yarn from a swap. Haley yarn. Pretty sure this is a hybrid Christina Haley hexapuff because I only had enough left over after I made that square to make half of a hexapuff. So hexapuff. Pretty sure the celebratory one is Haley yarn. It's got garter ridges 3 times. And then this is Spin Monkey's Revolution sock in the Sky Lantern colorway that I made the Mingus socks by Cookie A out of. And I also finally did another barn raising square. This one is number 89. It is the Sky Lantern colorway, which, oh, it's just so pretty. I really, really like this colorway, so I'm glad that I worked on it. Reading, that's all I have left for you. So I finished Dead Roses for a Blue Lady, which is the short story book and the last book in the Sonia Blue series that I have and have knowledge about. It's a collection of short stories, which I really enjoyed reading. But the story that I was reading last time was really interesting. It had several pretender races in it, which was good to see that come back into play in Sonia Blue's stories. Nancy A. Collins is so good. She's such a phenomenal writer. She has another series that I might look into seeing if I can find the books to, but it's not a supernatural series, so I don't know how I feel about it yet. But so that may or may not happen. Who knows? I also started and finished another book in the Black Jewels series. This is The Shadow Queen, and I only have 2 more books in that series to go. So The Shadow Queen deals with a completely new character, but it's on the same time, or it's chronologically, it's after the one that I just read, Tangled Webs, which is right after. It's a book that deals with the main characters of the trilogy. They're very much in here, and it's after that by 2 years after the third one, I think, chronologically speaking. Yeah, I know that I just really did a bad job of explaining that. I'm just saying that it deals with the characters directly instead of some of the other books which haven't. And it's also related to the book that didn't, The Invisible Ring. I was trying to figure out the title. It takes place in the same place that The Invisible Ring took place in. Like, there's direct descendants from the characters in The Invisible Ring in this book. So, finished that, and I will be starting the next book in that series right after I finish the book that I'm currently reading, which is Poison Fruit by Jacqueline Carey. And those who actually listen to me babble on about books may recall that I started reading this, I don't know, earlier this year probably. I don't think it was last year. I started reading it and then it wasn't the right time for the book. But now it is, and I am probably about 75 pages in. I started at the beginning again, reread the entire beginning, even though I remembered generally what happened. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't confused later on because of specifics. So, Poison Fruit, I am reading it. It is the third book in the, what are you, Agent of Hell trilogy. So I enjoy it a lot. It is, what is that called? Urban fantasy. It's urban fantasy, which I am greatly enjoying. And I'm not very far in it, but I do know that I like the trilogy, even though I'm not, like, urban fantasy is not my favorite subgenre. I do enjoy Jacqueline Carey's writing, and I do enjoy this book, this trilogy in particular. So it's really good. I will hopefully talk about it better next week because I won't be so distracted. Anyway, I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. Sans children. Have a good week. Bye.